Great day, great day. Welcome, welcome. And do you not believe I am so ever grateful, even though I feel like Thanksgiving kind of just flew on in the next couple of days it'll be here. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So it is literally going to be after Thanksgiving, it'll just be 5 weeks left in 2022. Welcome, everybody. I just thought I needed to start with that because I want you all to be attentive as to the remaining time that we have in 2022 and think about the things that you may be reflecting. But in Breaking Boundaries, we're going to kind of unfold the topic that has been definitely the highlight, if you will. And we'll talk about the layoffs and how it's impacting multiple industries and how you're positioning yourself in getting preparation, although your company may not be impacted by any of these layoffs or these unexpected restructuring. But what are you doing in the meantime? What are you doing in the meantime as far as your life, your career to position and prioritize? And we'll talk about that, myself and Coach Trisetta. And let us know where you're chiming in from. I'm here in the beautiful Bay part of Tampa, Florida. And Trisetta is here in the northern part of Florida. Or maybe
Yes.
she's traveling. I don't know. I'm going to be traveling soon.
I'm,
I'll be in South Florida.
no, I'm home. I'm in the Panhandle. I'm up here in North Florida, Tallahassee. I was
Awesome.
traveling.
Awesome.
I was traveling. Yesterday I was traveling, but I'm
Okay.
yeah. As of the recording of this, I was traveling yesterday, but I am back home.
I love it. I love it. So I know I had put a poll out earlier. I did that on purpose so you can stop your current broadcast, stop your current activities and function and say, you know what? Ruth is onto something. What am I doing to positioning myself? And then in collaboration with Trisetta, she's going to share some of what she's helped with herself throughout the years and as well as high performers and also consulted with within her wheelhouse, her powerhouse on supporting other high performers as well in different companies. You know, what are you doing now to give yourself the grace of just kind of laying the foundation as to when was the last time you've updated or positioned your career brand or just prioritize in general? Everything doesn't necessarily have to be getting a detour in order for you to take shift or
Mhm.
order for you to go ahead and start creating some expectations and goals and priorities. Is it now or rather than wait until you finally get that call in by HR or that call in by your immediate manager and saying things are not looking the way we anticipated because it's now fiscal year and it's only 5 weeks or so left in the year, and here you are maybe getting ready to do Thanksgiving, not anticipating that this Thanksgiving was the time where you're not going to be at the company that you maybe been with for the last decade, 5 years, or even maybe the last year, and was not anticipating to be getting a pink slip. What would be the top priority that has helped pave the way for quite a few folks, Trisetta, that would definitely be a game changer for those who are impacted and most importantly, who is not
Yeah.
impacted, but still would be relevant for them to take action?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is really all about intentionality, right? I like to. I did a video. I think like a reel. It was a short form video about this. Are you driving or drifting or driving? Right. So if you think about
I like
um,
that.
a a boat and you're out on the water, if you don't have the engine going and you're not steering, if you're just allowing the current to take your boat wherever you go, you're just going to drift and you'll find yourself, you'll get somewhere. It just may not necessarily be where you desire to go. But if you
Hmm.
turn on the engine and utilize the steering wheel, then you are driving, you are in control of the direction that you're going, how fast you're going. You're moving with intention, and that's what really needs to take place when when you're thinking about your career. And it's that intentionality doesn't just need to be during times of uncertainty. It also needs to be during times when
Right.
everything is going well, right? So it's about really thinking about what are my goals? What do I really want to accomplish? We've talked a lot about this in this Breaking Boundaries series. where do I want to go? What's my vision for my career, for my life?
Yeah.
And setting those, identifying those milestones, and then being very intentional about taking the steps, taking the actions that are going to move you in the direction you desire to go, instead of just allowing things to come at you and just be like, dealing with things as they come. You just want to get into the driver's seat and be intentional about the direction you're going.
But what happens when you're survivor mode in those individuals who has gotten that heads up, or maybe didn't get a heads up, that was their official last day, and now survival mode kicks in because
Yeah.
they might be the breadwinner within that household, and things took a shift or a curve because of this impact of news that just came in a very short notice. And how do they move from being drifting to now going into the driver's seat of the vehicle to now say, you know what, this could be an opening of a new chapter. I
Hmm.
can look at the good in this and not get erratical or irrational about how it's impacting. Not to say that you're not entitled to feel that way. Who can agree that you have
Oh
the
yeah.
right to be grieving, especially if you're getting some news that is impacting you, that is now going to shift the whole trajectory, right? Of how you saw yourself in this particular role, or how you even
Mhm.
planned out your next 5 to 10 years or less within a current situation, for it to now have taken a full 180.
Yeah. Step one is to really give yourself that grace, give yourself that some time to
Yeah.
mourn, to grieve, to process all the emotional aspects of the news that you've gotten. I know it's very easy to, especially if you're in a position where maybe you don't have a good nest egg saved up, where this is going to impact you immediately on a financial, from a financial perspective. It's very easy to shift into that, like, I got to do something. I got to make something
Absolutely.
happen.
Especially when it hits you
Yeah.
subconsciously and consciously, because you already
Yes.
may have been accustomed to react in a certain way whenever you were given news unexpectedly. And that's
Yes.
something that you may want to unfold and unravel. Like, why am I always disrupted when I'm given this type of news, instead of,
Yeah.
yes, it's natural for you to be sad. It's natural for you to be angry. It's natural for you. And there's some cases, some people are really good
Yeah.
at maintaining or managing those emotions. But if
Yeah.
you're the type of person that, this is unfair, and you now have this mindset of, not want to call it victim mentality, but what ways, I guess, can be, for the better lack of term, to be able to describe that this new type of experience or exposure to your life has now taken a shift, because you may have never been in a layoff, or if
Right.
you have, or how are you now taking all this in? I love the fact that I'm here and processing it, just giving yourself time to even mourn
Hmm.
and look at it, identify it, embrace it, be like, okay, I've been with this company, or I've been with this group of workers for the past 3 years, or maybe 13 or 30 years. What are you grateful for? I am so happy and grateful. I've been hearing this really great, just starting prefacing your thoughts by adding that first. What can you
Yeah.
find that is definitely grateful and happiness out in this process, during this process, while you're mourning? And Ruth, is this realistic? It definitely is. You're giving yourself grace to identify it, embrace it, and now you're wanting to channel in more of a yielded thought, mindfulness, and more intentional
Hmm.
thought behind it, versus just weeping and staying in there and just keeping yourself in a dark space.
Yeah. I agree. I think what's really important is um, to understand that what you feel, like the negative emotions, is valid. Right? It's valid for you to feel
Yeah.
that. And you do need to actually process it, instead of just kind of trying to shove it down. Allow yourself to process it. One of the ways that I do that is through journaling. Just, go get a, if you're not a journaler, just a pad of paper and just write out all of the stuff. Just get it out of you. And then once you've done that, once you've given yourself that space, giving your emotions voice, then you can go
Mhm.
in with, like
Yes.
what Ruth is talking about, the gratitude. It's good. Yes, you can start with gratitude. If you're not skilled in that area, it's going to be very difficult for you to start with gratitude. So start with giving voice to the feelings that you're having about the situation, your fears, your anxieties,
Yes,
your,
trust me. Who can relate? Go ahead and
yeah,
put a
all of the
3 in
emotions.
the chat room, like in the comments, because I too can relate. Sometimes you may have to sit in uh, that emotion for
Yeah,
15 minutes, 20 minutes. It may take a day, 3 days, but you're identifying it. The fact
yes,
of ignoring it is the most opposite that you want to do in your favor. You
yes,
definitely want to kind of head like go yield in it and say, yes, I know I don't feel great about getting this news. I know I'm not, I can see I can see better, but right now I'm pissed off. I
right.
am pissed off and I want
Yeah,
to stay pissed off because I did not anticipate this. Now that you've given yourself grace to say, yes, go ahead and release it, whatever it takes, maybe through crying, through writing, through journaling, through affirmations, or if you more of like have no filter and you're gonna sail like a pirate and just say anything under the sun, because at this point you're pretty much at a level of emotions that you're wanting to release it,
yeah,
because your physical being and your spiritual being may not be in sync at that moment, because chances are your physical being is saying all kinds of stuff that you may go back and say, what did I just do or do? But you may feel better. Whatever it is that maybe create that pattern to just shift, because if you hold it in each day and every day, just holding it in and say, you know what? Okay, and you're not moving, you're not giving yourself grace to start a priority, start creating a plan, start seeing if I need resources or support. Can I do this on my own? Or do I have to reach out to others, or am I just going to shut down, close myself, isolate myself? Who can relate? Isolating myself for a certain amount of period, when is it actually serving you by doing that? I would
yeah.
say maybe for a short window, because you have
Oh
the
yeah,
right to mourn and grieve, but the
absolutely.
question is, how long does
Well,
one
let
have
me
to
say,
stay?
so so I'm a Christian, and so I use the 3-day rule because I'm like, Jesus was in the grave for 3 days and then he got up.
I like that. I like
So,
that.
so that's my rule. I'm like, I give myself, if when I get hit with really heavy stuff, I give myself 3 days and I'm like, okay, you can cry, you can be depressed, you can be, not take a shower, stay in the bed, don't eat, whatever drama
Yes.
I want to do, whatever I feel like
Some
in the
pickles and
moment.
ice creams, whatever the case may be, whatever your
Exactly.
go-to, you know,
Eat the
comfort.
lay on the couch eating bonbons, watching Netflix. I don't care what it is, right? So I give myself 3 days to have my pity party. And then like I give myself that deadline. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, at the end of 3 days, you're done. Right. And it and I say that jokingly. That doesn't necessarily mean that the emotions are gone after 3 days. That's not what I'm
Mm.
saying here. What I'm
Mhm.
saying is you're giving yourself that space, and it doesn't have to be 3 days, but you're giving yourself
Yeah.
the space to actually feel how you're feeling, be a bum, do whatever, and then say, okay, at the end of this, I'm going to make a decision to pick
Yes.
myself up and move forward. It doesn't mean that the emotions are gone. It just simply means that now you've given enough space where you
Mhm.
should be able to pick yourself up and start the process of moving forward. You'll still have some setbacks. There may be days when you may be like another week out and all of a sudden you get hit again, and that's okay. The thing is
Yeah.
to start the process of moving forward.
I like that, to where, yes, it's okay to just be bummed out. It's okay to identify it and embrace it and say, let's go ahead. We're moping it together. But now you now have to give yourself an opportunity to get that light
Mhm.
bulb moment. Okay, what's next? What is it I need to do next? It's not like as if you're in denial. Share give yourself, go back to see how did you overcome some of the other incidents or life events that came across. I remember I did this, or I remember, just taking time and doing daily devotions, and it really appeased me. Or I remember I hired a life coach, or I hired, some sort of coaching, transformation coach to help appease me, and giving me certain exercises or steps or proven processes or methods that I was able to obtain throughout that journey. Maybe I need to go back and
Yeah.
get myself restarted or reset. or just, go back and charge up, clear some of those negative charges that maybe have that has you holding your attention to it because of, life, and just because of the physicalness that we are in this particular plane. We tend to hold on to more negative thoughts than
Right.
the positive ones. So now you want to ask yourself, well, how do I unleash and add more fulfilling thoughts and maybe fulfilling resources or connections that's going to help me throughout this journey versus doing it alone?
Yeah. I'll add another kind of little sneaky way, for lack of a better term, a little hack. I like to say that a hack for
Okay.
helping you to get through different challenges. I encourage my clients to keep a journal specifically for things that they have overcome,
Okay.
where they do entries of, this is the situation and I got through this is how I felt, da, da, da. And then on the other side, I got through, right? And it's kind of like their hall of fame, right? Their journal is, their hall of fame or their hall of faith. And whenever life hits them, then I say, go back and revisit all the things
Mm,
that you went through. And you notice I said went through, right? That doesn't
yes,
mean you got stuck there. You went through, you came, a situation happened, you came out on the other side. And
of
then when you
course.
were in it, you thought that you weren't going to get through, but you made it through anyway. And that can serve as your motivation, using your own life as motivation, that I went through all these different challenges and I got through them. I can get through this too.
I love it. I love it. And so I do believe in just taking different steps.
Yeah.
And I do believe giving yourself time too, because
Oh, absolutely.
wealth loves speed, healing loves speed. Because if you want to be fully healed, you got to give yourself grace, at least give yourself a certain timeline. And I love the 3-day rule. Never thought about it that way. Yeah, that was actually first of me hearing that. Give yourself 3 days, or just a few, just more than just enough. I think more than enough that that you can stabilize. And if you're wanting a certain timeline on what that looks, I would, even if it's not with me or Trisetta, definitely get seeking out some guidance and
Hmm.
support on how to create that roadmap
Yeah.
on fulfilling some of those unease type of unexpected incidents. And then you may not be in the right headspace to even want to channel in on how to perhaps rebrand yourself. Because again, if you've been out of the game for God knows how long, if it's been definitely, even in, let alone yesterday, but even if it's been the last 12 months or two years, you and I can agree that things have definitely took a shift in technology, has
Hmm.
taken a shift, and just not just in businesses, but in also in families and relatives, and just the whole US alone.
Yeah.
I can only imagine on different parts of the country, outside of the country, but just within North America alone, within United States, we have seen a shift. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to back up a little bit too, and we've spent a good amount of time kind of focusing on the people who are facing this, who actually have gotten the pink slip. I want to go back to kind of your initial thought
Absolutely. On those
on
who, yeah.
those who, it's not happened, and but like, how can you prepare? Like, how can you really be intentional and going through, like, pulling out your resume? Go ahead, pull out your resume, take a look at it. Don't wait. Don't be like me and wait until where I would wait until I would be this before I left my job to be a full-time consultant. I would get frustrated. It was only when I would be
Oh my
frustrated at work
gosh.
that I would pull out my resume and you know,
Mm,
dust it off,
yeah.
and it was just out of from a place of frustration. And whenever you're doing something out of a negative emotion, from a place of frustration, anger, overwhelm, stress, you're not thinking rationally. So
Mhm.
the energy that you're going to put behind any adjustments to your resume or anything that you're doing is not going to be positive, and that's going to be
Right.
reflected when you go to put out your resume or to apply for roles. So definitely encourage you, don't wait until you're in that situation. Go ahead and be proactive. And like we were talking earlier about crafting that vision and thinking about, okay, what's the next role that I desire? What do I need to,
Mhm.
how can I take what I'm currently doing, finesse my resume to make it present me for the type of opportunity I want.
Yes. Would you even hire you? Like, look at
Right.
your resume. If you know it's that dated, or you've pretty much triumphed quite a bit of stuff. I agree with you on that, Trisetta. And then if you've perhaps not sure, you can definitely binge watch on YouTube University,
Oh, yeah.
or carve yourself some time and maybe hire someone. It's solely up to you. You get to decide on how you want to, dedicate and commit into this process. It's just as though you had a home. You have a home. If you're, for all those who own a home, go ahead and say yes, I can relate. You own a home and you have your homeowner's insurance. It's not there to state that you're going to use it every year, or is there? It's just there for present, to reserve in the event that something do happen. You're confident. You're like, nope, I have my secure. I have that. I update it every year because guess what? I have no choice because the county does let me know when they do their adjustments, and you're being mindful to that you also keep a nest egg to cover
Mhm.
any overhead that may impact for that particular year. The
Yeah.
same you want to do with your resume and your online presence, your career, your branding, on whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Indeed. How are you positioning yourself as a top authority and keeping yourself up to trend with those other high achievers that are up and in the running for those particular roles that you are seeking after as your next career move,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I'll add to your list, making sure that you are developing and nurturing relationships, because
Oh
I
my
believe, and
goodness.
I haven't seen this, I haven't looked at the statistic recently, but a few years ago when I was putting together, preparing for a talk on networking, I saw a statistic that I believe it's like 80%
Mm.
of jobs are gotten as a result of relationship.
Oh my goodness. And that is so key, especially when it's in our society where we cling on connectivity. People
Mhm.
connect with people. I tell this to all of my consults the moment they get on the call with me, is you have to have some sort of connection with whoever you're talking to, and whoever you're maybe even before you even get on a conversation on a phone call, but also building that network, which is equal to your net worth.
Right,
The more, because if you notice, if you've done any research on any peers or any high performers and you're wondering how they're soaring and selling and going through and kicking the ladder, ditching the ladder and going straight to their career in the elevator, oftentimes it's based on their inner circle.
right,
Have you checked out your
absolutely.
inner circle lately? Is
Yeah,
it connecting to any other of your achieving goals that you're looking to pursue within the next 12 months? You
yeah,
may have to reassess that or reevaluate it, right?
absolutely. And I'm just thinking, as you were talking, I was reminded, every single client that I've gotten in my consulting business, every single client that I've gotten in my consulting business was based off of a referral from someone who knew me.
Wow. Wow, that's huge.
I've done 0 advertising of what I do. It is
Mm,
every single one was as a result of someone I knew recommended me, and
that's
then,
amazing.
from there, and then each time, it gets like that person then recommends, and then that person
Mhm.
then recommends, right? So
That's
it's
so refreshing. Yes,
yeah,
that's a whole different tea talk by itself. But this to let alone to kind of leverage and pinpoint
mhm,
to where you were coming from as building that relationship, building, setting yourself up. And then you're the type you saying, well, Ruth, what if I'm an introvert? Put in the chat room if you are, maybe put number 4, where I'm not the type to do that networking and building, maybe posting or reaching out because it's unease for me to build on those kindled relationships. How would you, and we can close off with this because this is huge. I love the fact I'm building relationship, but what if those who don't know how, but they know that it's a must because they know the value, they see the value in it because they
mhm.
see their peers doing it with their eyes closed. But here you are coming from a sense of, I'm not the type to reach out because of maybe fear of rejection.
Listen, that's me. That you're talking about me, and a lot of people think just because I'm an ambivert. right? So I'm both extroverted and introverted. I have, which means I have both tendencies. When it comes to like large, I do really well in small groups and small settings. If I go to an event, it's a small group, I'm great at that. Now, if I go to a larger event, then I'm going to look for the one person that I know and I'm going to be clinging to them like, like a dryer sheet in the dryer, right? Like that. I'm
Right, because that's the familiar face that
right.
and
Um,
yes, I get it.
yeah, because of my introverted tendencies. So, but the thing is, in order for you to get to that next level, right? It's a part of your professional development. You've got to allow yourself to be to kind of stretch and
Mm,
step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. And so look for, kind of, I'm always talking about the low hanging fruit. So think about someone who you might already have a fairly good rapport with, meet them for coffee or dessert or go to lunch and just share with them, hey, this is where this is where I'm going, this is what I'm desiring to do, da da da.
yeah.
Because what will happen is then they have that in the back of their mind. And if they're privy to a conversation with someone who's looking for something like, oh, you know what? I know someone. I
Mhm.
know someone, Ruth. We were talking a few months ago. We had lunch, and I know that that's what she's desiring to do. So I'm going to give her a call and tell her about this opportunity that's come up.
Yes, it get contagious the moment you start sharing and having that dialogue. They now remember and
Hmm.
start connecting, or even reaching out directly themselves because they may be growing in their particular organization, or they're part of the business, and they thought of you because you made yourself what, visible.
Yes.
You made yourself present and made yourself more interactive and more noticeable in order for them to pay attention. Like, hey, I see you. I see
Hmm.
you and I would love to connect. Absolutely. I think that's a genius way to do that, is by just coming out of self. And
Yeah.
again, if you're needing support and guidance, even if it's not with me or myself or Trisetta, definitely reach out. Go and seek out who resonates with you. Like, you know what, Ruth and Trisetta is onto something as far as connection. And YouTube University is definitely a great resource. It's free, but it can do so much on the surface level. Sometimes it's just giving you really fundamental starting points
Yeah.
on how to, open up certain ideas and maybe start implementing. But if you're fully wanting a roadmap and an action plan, then that's where you want to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You want to
I,
take
I,
time and just invest in yourself. Go ahead.
I I would also recommend if you're that introverted person and you struggle with that, classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's an amazing book. There's several different.
Who's the author?
I believe it's Covey. Hold on.
Okay. You all write that down. Say that
Um,
again.
how to? I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna Google it. I'm pretty sure it's Covey. How to Win Friends. Oh, Carnegie. It's Dale Carnegie.
Love it.
Yep. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a classic book. There's several different editions, but anyone that you grab, it really will help you to develop some skills and get you out of get you out of your comfort zone so that you can start to build those relationships and position yourself with the right people. Or it's not necessarily about the quantity; it's about the quality of people that you make those connections with.
Absolutely. I do
All it
believe
takes
there's
is one.
genuine.
All it
Yeah.
takes is one.
It really does. That one, just to make an announcement for you, perhaps maybe they decided to do a live like this, or recording, and they announced, hey, by the way, so and so this, just them just giving you access, opening up that doorway and giving you the time to just get that influence or get that awareness, or that just being noticed, being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes you
Yeah.
may have woke up on the wrong side of the bed, but you decided, again, you had decided, you made it a decision to go ahead and start connecting with folks who are like-minded, or inspiring to do, or you inspired to doing the same things that they're doing. You're just not quite there yet, or you are doing the role but just not being rewarded in the level that they are being rewarded, and you're just keen to just rubbing shoulders and just being a great resource or value to them by connecting, by building relationships and establishing them early on before you get that pink slip, before more than like you may not ever get it, but the chances to know that you were prepared versus not being prepared. You know, here in Florida, we get hurricanes all the time, but we're always wanting to jump the broom and making sure that we're prepared versus not prepared, even though we should be accustomed to it. It's just second nature to a lot of us. And most of us, oh my gosh, I'm low on this. Let's go ahead and get some more inventory before it can be worse than what we anticipate. Let us know if this has been super helpful for you by putting in the chat, put a number 2, that this was definitely resonating with you. And again, if you're looking for support and guidance throughout just opening up, setting up your priority, being more organized and being in more order as to what is that next leap when it comes to representing your career and positioning it to move on to the next higher end position, go ahead and let us know by commenting or direct messaging either myself or Trisetta. In the meantime, have an amazing day. Stay positive, be kind, and be generous, and learn to be grateful. Give yourself grace to remind yourself that I am thankful. I'm happy and I'm thankful, regardless of what the circumstances may be or what may come your way that day. You're still here. So obviously you're not done. Your assignment is not done. Talk to y'all soon. Cheers.
Bye for now.